Welcome to the Personal Podcast, the podcast where we get to meet the personalities behind the professionals. Today, I am very pleased to have David Harper, BBC Antiques and History presenter, on the show.
Charlotte, wonderful to be with you.
Fantastic. So we get straight to the questions because small talk isn't allowed.
Oh, I was ready to have a little small talk chat there.
It's banned, David.
Oh, banned, okay.
And we go quite deep. So, David, how similar is the real David to the David we see on the TV?
Ah, very good. Okay, he is absolutely the same, but the one on TV, he has been amplified by at least 20%, sometimes even more, because you have to do that, because on television or theatre, on stage, in public speaking, if you just behave ordinarily, just like you would at a party, you look numb. Television particularly numbs the character. So you have to break out and you have to perform. So it's you performing as you turned up a bit. So it's the same person, it's just the volume's up.
Oh, that's so interesting. So literally just the volume.
And the enthusiasm, everything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Everything is up. So if I like an object, an antique object, I don't go home and go, look at this, it is magnificent. I don't. I just think, oh, look at that, it's really nice, isn't it? But on TV, it's amplified. Because there is something about TV puts on 10 years and £10. This is a known thing, yeah.
Really?
I'm 27 years old, for God's sake. Right? But it does that, and it also numbs your character and personality. Okay. So you have to lift it up and go on a diet.
No, that's so interesting because I was on, I think it was ITV News during lockdown about why we were giving up on our office. And my husband, I thought I'd get home and be like, oh, you did so well. Yeah. But he was like, oh, your face looked wide.
No!
Yes. And I was like, well, thank you very much. I had a little huff. I went off in a sulk for a bit. And then he's like, I probably said the wrong thing there, didn't I? Like, yes, you did. But I watched it back and yes, my face looked wider.
There you go. It puts weight on you.
Yeah,
it does.
Ryan, can we do something about this for this podcast? No wide faces. But so the thing with that, I totally buy into that. Amplifying who you are by 20%. Does that kind of battle with authenticity then? Are you being true to yourself?
Yeah, you're being completely true because it is you performing as you. And it is a performance. Anybody in the media, television, theatre, it's a performance. And I think also in your world, in sales, in promotions, in marketing, it's a performance. You can't go into a meeting with a lid put on your character and your passion. You have to let the lid burst off and show your character and your passion and your enthusiasm. So no, I think it's totally authentic. It's just I'm not normally like that at home.
You'd be quite annoying.
I normally don't speak, yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you'd be lovely.
Fabulous.
Yes. But yeah, and the best thing about being a TV presenter?
I think it's the variety, the excitement, and sometimes I get a bit complacent with it. I moan and complain about long travels and rubbish hotels because the lifestyle is not quite as glamorous as people assume.
Really?
It isn't. It's long days, can be 12, 14 hours more on occasions. And
on set?
Or driving around, filming in different locations, stuff going wrong. Life, obstacles appear in life, and they do in filming every single day. So I think I moan about it. I quite like moaning. But I know sometimes I've got to pinch myself. I've got to speak to myself. And I realise that what I do is very different. And I love it because it gets me places that I would ordinarily never get to, gets me to meet people I would never meet. I doors open, things happen, and I actually love it. And as much as I moan, if I wasn't doing it, I'd be in genuinely a very dark place.
Really?
I think, I would. I need excitement in my life, always. And I'm always searching for more and more adventures. And television generally gives me that. My YouTube channel gives me more because I'm completely unmuted. I can do and say what I like.
Yeah.
Television, of course, I can't. There's lots of restrictions. Whereas my YouTube, I really go for it. And that opens doors. I get to meet people and see things and places that, again, you ordinarily wouldn't do. So I need that element of excitement in life, and I do get it from television.
That's amazing. Do you think you've got almost addicted to the adrenaline rush that comes part of it?
Yes, I think so. I do. And it becomes normal, like everything becomes normal. And so you like things even when they go wrong. It's like, well, actually, everything's going wrong. I'm not going to get back to the hotel till 11 o'clock at night, but this is actually a really interesting experience. So I like experiences, and especially experiences that you never forget. And if you can go to work and have an experience, something that happens to you that you will never forget, then that to me is a very good day at work.
Yeah, that's so interesting though, because you sometimes see like film stars who you think they have everything and then they're perhaps an alcoholic behind the scenes. Do you think that's because they're always searching for that next high and they can't find it after this?
I think that's a big danger. And I think especially for actors, what I do is much more immediate. It's cheap television at the end of the day. We're on the road and it's kind of ad hoc. Whatever you say is captured and you do it. But I've worked on many celebrity shows meeting actors who can spend 10 hours waiting to go and deliver 5 minutes of lines.
Yeah.
Now, that would drive anybody to drink.
Yeah. It's just so interesting. And you mentioned, I hope you don't mind digging in, and if you don't want to answer, it's fine, but you mentioned you'd be in a dark place without TV. Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, I think I would. I need new adventures. I need new projects. And in the times of my life when there hasn't been much on in TV TV really, I've been in TV now for 20 years. It really is a core part of my being completely. When things have gone quiet, things haven't gone quite to plan and I'm not working, I would say that I've absolutely been genuinely depressed.
Yeah.
I need something in life to excite me, and I do get it from TV. Without it, yes, I think I'd be in a dark place.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what it is about TV. Is it that attention? Do you crave attention?
Well, it's funny you say that. A lot of people would assume that I do, but I genuinely don't.
Okay.
So I get recognised when I go out, and it's very nice, and it's very pleasant, and I'm very lucky because I get recognised enough to make it nice, and you meet interesting people, but not too much that I'm inundated. Yeah. I've worked with people like John Barrowman as an example. With him, he was mobbed all of the time. Marlene Klass, she was mobbed, and they were really at the height of their fame then, and I really wouldn't want that. But do I like the attention? I've never really asked myself that question, but I think the answer has to be yes. It has to be. I think anybody in public life and television who said that they really hated the attention would be lying. I think I'm lucky because I get enough to satisfy my ego, but not too much to kind of step on my ordinary life.
Fantastic. Yeah, and a very honest answer as well.
Yeah.
So many people are like, oh, it's not about the attention, but then what is it about?
It kind of is. I remember as a kid always saying I wanted to be famous, and I didn't know why I wanted to be famous or how I was going to do it, but I wanted to be famous. And I have a little bit of fame, but the grass is always greener. It's not as great as people think it might well be. It does come with its downsides. But generally speaking, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't like it. In fact, I was out not very long ago in Durham City. I was with a friend of mine. And for some reason, I had a really bushy beard. I normally have a little bit of stubble or beard. I had a really big beard. And I'm normally recognised. Wherever I go, having coffee, someone will say something. And it's nice. Hello, I recognise you. Or you won't find any bargains in here. You always get the same sort of comments. And nobody recognised me. And my friend to me, and I said, nobody's recognising me. I said, it's because I've got a beard. And he said, you don't like it, do you? I said, no, I don't like it. So I whipped it off. So yeah, in truth, yes, it is quite nice.
I guess it's kind of like social media on steroids, or real life social media, that, you know, those likes, every time someone recognises you, there's a little serotonin or dopamine.
I know. And we all suffer that. You do a tweet and you look at it, you think, I've only had a few likes. That's a really bad tweet. But if it's gone crazy, it gives you a bit of a thrill. The same thing. You're in the supermarket, somebody recognises you. If I'm honest, it gives you a bit of a thrill. Yeah. But the power of television.
Yeah, and I love that as well. There's no shame in that.
Why not? Why not?
I guess it's human nature, you know, for people to know you or feel like they know you. And we all crave kind of like conversations and relationships.
And I think it definitely builds your confidence. And
that's a good point.
It really does. And for every time that you're recognised, I think I do a better job, either in a theatre or on television, because I realise that the work I'm doing is getting me recognition. So it gives me like the okay to go and appear somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. And I take it most recognition episodes, they are positive.
Always positive. Always, yes.
That's nice.
I've worked with actors doing celebrity shows who have played really horrible parts, and people scream at them. They do. They think they're actually the people.
Yeah.
And they can't believe it. You, the way you treat her, that's disgusting. You should. And they start shouting at them in the street. Talk about the power of it all.
Crazy.
It's remarkable.
It is crazy.
Luckily, I don't think I offend too many people with the shows I make.
Oh, brilliant. And you talked about downsides. Clearly that's a downside for some people on TV. What are the downsides that you experience?
I'm just trying to think what the downsides would be. I think the travelling, there is no doubt about it. I've cut back on the travelling. I've changed the way that I work. So I've been doing this for 20 years, and I think in the early days, I know, I'm filming tomorrow in Edinburgh. No, the following day. So I'm travelling to Edinburgh tomorrow, staying overnight, filming the following day. Years ago, I would have left home at 9 o'clock at night, driven 3 hours, get to a hotel, get a bit of sleep and go and do the filming. Tomorrow, honestly, I promise you, I'll have an early lunch and go. I'll get there for 3 o'clock, get into my hotel, have a bath, iron my clothes, go out for dinner with the crew and be relaxed. So I've changed the way I work because it's the traveling that really gets you. The filming, I don't find hard at all. It's the getting to locations.
Stressful logistics side of it.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you're getting there like just in the nick of time, that's going to affect your performance.
Totally. It's a bit like drinking. I don't drink a great deal. I like a drink occasionally, but I couldn't have a big drinking session and then work the next day. That will affect my performance. So it's a Stoic thing. I've been studying the Stoics a lot recently. I'm really into them. And the Stoics will say that you must ask yourself questions every day to keep you on track. And one question is this: what do I do? You have to ask yourself this: what do I do? So I think, what do I do? Well, I present TV shows about antiques and history. I do theatre shows about the same. So what do I do? That's what I do. And then it should be followed up by go and do your job. In other words, do it really well, or at least to the best of your ability. So if I travel and I don't get any sleep, I'm not going to do my job well. If I drink too much the night before, I'm not going to do my job well.
Yeah.
My job is to do my job the best I possibly can. And that is a selfish thing, really, because it makes me feel happy if I know I've done a good job.
But then you're producing more quality output. So hopefully, so your employer's happy, your end kind of users, for want of a better word, really happy.
Everything.
Yeah.
Just do your job. You've got to do it, and you've got to do it as best you can.
Because quite often you see in the entertainment industry, and I'm not sure it's an outsider's view, that alcohol's used quite often. Maybe we talked about crutches before. It's like to make them less nervous before you go on, or help them unwind afterwards.
Completely.
Is that true, or is
it's very true
Okay.
for a lot of people, and I can get it. And I'll give you the best example of where I could easily fall into that trap, and I haven't as yet. So I do these one-man stand-up shows talking about funny stories from the world of TV, behind-the-scenes gossip, celebrities, that kind of thing, and also history. So I've written a couple of history books, but it's all very non-academic. It's just jolly stories from our past British history that our teachers didn't tell us.
Okay.
So just funny stories, and I love it. So you've got an audience of potentially hundreds of people, you on a stage, and a performance for an hour and a half. You're buzzed up like crazy. You're signing books. And at 10 o'clock, everybody has left the theatre. And then at 10:30, I find myself in a hotel room on my own, just with my thoughts and the buzzing in my head, which means I can't sleep. Because I'm just so pumped with adrenaline. I'm not having a great time. It's just your body is just rushing around and I can't sleep. That, I know, with many people I've worked with, is the point they hit the minibar. And so you can see how that begins. And then, of course, the nerves beforehand. The nerves never go away.
That was going to be a question, because from an outsider watching these TV stars, you think, oh, it's so natural for them. Do you get nervous?
I get nervous to a point where I want to actually break my arm.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You're quite nervous.
Yes. So if I'm behind a curtain and I'm being announced and I've got to go and host to something or do a charity event. And it is an event, it is a performance. You've got to go out there, you've got to think on your feet and interact with the audience. I'm so nervous, it has crossed my mind to whack my arm against the door, break my arm and then say, sorry guys, I can't go on.
That's quite extreme.
It is extreme. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. But I think these are just normal human emotions. And every single celebrity I've ever worked with, I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah.
What makes them tick? Because in a way it helped me because I was always anxious filming or whatever. But when you speak to these celebrities that everybody knows on TV or theatre or music, they're all the same. They all feel physically ill to a point of wanting to literally damage themselves to not have to go and perform. That's how bad they feel. But they have ways and means to get over those nerves, because nerves will stop you doing anything. You'll never get anywhere if you always listen to your nerves. Mm-hmm. You've also got to remember this. If you look into it, nerves and butterflies, that feeling in your stomach, is a really good thing. It means your brain is firing. Mm-hmm. I know that stuff is going through my head that makes my brain perform. So even though I'm panicking, thinking I'm going to walk on stage and I'm going to open my mouth and nothing's going to come out. This voice is saying, you're useless, you're going to open your mouth, nothing's going to come out. I get on stage and sometimes, this is an odd thing to say, I shock myself. I do. I'm thinking, David, is this really you? Your brain is absolutely on fire. Mm-hmm. You're reacting, you're telling jokes from nowhere, it's all going well. And it's because of the nerves and the butterflies, whatever chemicals they're sending around me, make me perform.
Absolutely. I can relate to that from both a business and a sports setting as
well.
well.
Your swimming career, yeah?
Sometimes if I wasn't nervous, I didn't perform. You know, I need that adrenaline to give me a kickstart, or I need someone to kind of get my back up. So I was like, right, I'm going to prove myself to you.
Yes.
So I guess a lot of these things that stop people doing things, they're also necessary
You've
as well.
got to get to love nerves. Accept that you, as a nervous person, before you do anything, are just normal. You're like everybody else. Love those nerves because they will help you. But don't let them stop you. No. Jump over that barrier.
Push through them.
Push through the nerves.
Yeah, and I guess that leads a little bit to imposter syndrome sometimes. Sometimes when I'm even doing this, sometimes there's a voice in my head saying, well, that was a stupid question, or why did you ask that, or you asked that in the wrong way. Yeah. Is that normal?
Completely normal. I think we all have to deal with imposter syndrome. And the best, your biggest hero in the world, whoever that is, on TV, an actor or a singer, all deal with imposter syndrome. And it's connected, of course, to nerves and anxiety and the negative voice telling you that you're useless, you're not worthy. I really struggled in the early days of TV with imposter syndrome. Because I got on TV after doing radio for several years, and eventually it took me about 4 or 5 years to get into TV. I got my TV job. And honestly, my voice was saying to me, why are you here? How did you get here? Do they know you don't know nearly enough? How are you getting away with this? You shouldn't be here. They're better than you. You know, and that is that inbuilt. It's a design protection to stop us leaping out of aeroplanes with no parachutes. The voice says, don't do that, you're going to die. But it's also a design fault because it can stop you from doing anything. And I had to deal with that. And that's why when I first started doing celebrity shows many years ago and meeting these very famous people and spending 3 days in a car with them. And it's bizarre. You meet them, you jump into a car within minutes. And honestly, Charlotte, the conversations soon turn very deep onto mental health, onto dealing with life, because it's a very precarious business, the world of celebrity and show business. And the conversations get very deep. And I started interviewing these celebrities about negative thoughts and imposter syndrome. And it really helped me understand that I was just normal dealing with these things.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because we're talking about it more and more, which is great now. But in the past, I think people thought, oh, it's just me. It's just me that has negative thoughts. It's just me that can't go on stage and speak.
That's right.
And just that understanding that it's everybody, it really helps.
And the best of the best performers, excuse me, And the best of the best performers in the world suffer exactly the same. No difference.
And it's interesting what you said about how it's inbuilt. Otherwise, we would, go back to caveman times. We wouldn't have run away from the saber-toothed tiger. Exactly. So we talked about it kind of being built into us so that we didn't get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger when we're a caveman. And then that has passed through our genetics. And the more anxious the person, the more they've survived.
Yes.
And so apparently today, that's why we're more anxious than ever. I mean, there's a lot of other factors that go into that. How much of that do you think is true?
I think that is absolutely fascinating. I've never thought about it that way. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. Those hundreds of thousands of years ago who didn't suffer from negative thoughts and that imposter syndrome were all eaten.
All eaten by tigers, yeah.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. It does. It's a protector. It lengthens our lives. We don't do crazy, silly things because of those voices. But again, it's a balance. Everything in life is a balance. You've got to listen to your inner feelings, your sixth sense, if you like, those voices. But don't always take too much notice of them. Otherwise, you will not get out of bed. Yes.
And a question again, and you might not know the answer to this. And so if I try and explain my inner voice, there's more than one.
Yeah.
So for example, I could be presenting this, I'm talking through, and maybe that's my voice.
Yeah.
There could be a voice in the back of my head at the same time saying, again, that's a stupid question. Why did you ask this? You're not doing very well today.
Yeah.
And then there's another voice going and answering back to that, saying, actually, you've had a tough week, you're doing this, but actually that was okay. So shut up,
That's fine.
And then I'm still talking. It's kind of all happening now, even though I'm talking about it. Where are these voices coming from? Who are they and who is Charlotte?
Well, that's a very good point, isn't it? I don't know. Charlotte is all of those voices at different times of the day and sometimes combined. And I think your mind is a great tool, but it's also your worst enemy. And if you listen to the negative side of that mind all of the time, you would be a quivering wreck. So I think of it as, it's going to make me sound crazy. I have a mind and I have different voices, but my mind is in control and my mind is able to drown out now, after years of training myself, the negative voices. Listen to them, yes. I think of it more of a gut feeling. I always go with my gut feeling, always. That sixth sense, which I really believe in. But no, I think it's normal to have several things going on. Often on a stage, I'm doing a show, and I'm telling a story, like I'm just on autopilot. But the voices in my head are saying, after this, you need to get onto the topic of so-and-so. So you need to throw a question out to the audience to get rid of that story and move it on. So I'm actually talking to the audience and talking to myself at the same time.
Very much similar to what's going on right now, because I'm listening. It's fascinating. And I'd love to just be like, oh, wow, and just listen, but I've also got to be thinking of the next question.
You do.
And try and be articulate at the same time. And it's quite hard.
It's very hard, and it's easy for me because all I have to do is answer your questions. I don't know what's coming, and I like it that way. I'd rather not know what's coming. But your job is really difficult, and people don't appreciate how hard it is to interview people. And I do that on telly and on my YouTube, and you are so right. You have to listen to what I'm saying, but at the very same time, as well as taking what I'm saying, you're having to plan the next question. You can't have a pause. It has to be a flowing conversation, but you're leading the conversation.
Definitely, and I can imagine live TV being even harder doing that. Have you ever had any kind of bloopers?
On live, I really like live TV, and I like live radio. One reason, ruthlessly, is that once it's done, it's done. You just go. But there's a great thrill with live television. And I think talk about how your brain has this great ability to fire up. You've got to trust your brain will do this. It does. When I've been on the sofa on BBC News talking about the antique ivory laws and having a discussion with a professor somewhere in America about who was pro-banning the sale of antique ivory, I wasn't. So we had a discussion stroke argument. My brain was really firing because I was full of all these chemicals shooting all over the place. So Live TV, live radio, no, give it to me. I genuinely like it.
Yeah, I guess again, you just step up that extra gear.
You do.
It's a mindset thing. Because
Yeah.
if I knew this was live,
Yeah.
again, it would be like extra adrenaline.
Yes.
It'd be more exhausting, but maybe the thrill would be even more, the reward at the end of
I
it.
think it kind of would. And the
Yeah.
thing is, if it was live, I would recommend that you shouldn't worry about making mistakes, because I think mistakes often in performances, especially today, people like to see that you are just a normal person.
Yeah.
You're just Charlotte. I'm just David. We don't get it right all the time. I mispronounce words all of the time. I can't think of words. I'm talking about what I can't think of people's names. But I try and make a thing of that. So when it's live and you make a mistake, make a mistake.
Yeah.
Take the mickey out of yourself. People love you for being self-deprecating.
Yes.
So if it was live, I wouldn't worry about fumbling.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wouldn't worry at all.
Yeah, and it's quite disarming again.
Yeah.
People put people who are on TV up on a pedestal as well.
They do.
They're always elevated above.
It's a
real
remarkable
people.
thing. It's a
Yeah.
remarkable thing.
How do you think that is? Why does it do that?
I think the power of television is unbelievable.
Sorry to interrupt, but just a quick word about our sponsor, Be Daily. I've been subscribing to the Be Daily now since starting my business. It provides relevant and informative information directly to my inbox, not just about the North East, but also national news. If you're interested in subscribing, we'll put the link in the description box so you can get the business news directly to your inbox. Now back to the podcast.
And after all the years I've been on TV, it still shocks me.
Even today.
Even today, it shocks me where I end up going and someone knows me
Yeah.
because of that television.
But a lot of young people, they say that they don't watch TV
Yeah.
anymore. It's all about kind of
Yeah.
YouTube, TikTok,
Completely.
or TV on demand, which I
Yeah.
guess is still TV. But yeah, just wondered how true that is. What's kind of your typical demographic of fan?
Mine's older because
Yeah.
it's antiques, it's classic cars, and
Yeah.
it's history. So it is an older group. So, you know, middle-aged and onwards. And we do get younger people as well, students and that kind of thing. And I do love it when I do a show and I've got young people. I love my audience. I find people fascinating. There's nothing more interesting than people. There really isn't.
I agree.
And people love to tell you their stories. And people that say, oh, people are dead boring, tell me their stories, they're crazy because you get so much from people.
Oh, that's part of the reason I do these podcasts. I learn so much, but I'm just so interested.
Yeah.
The psychology. And
Psychology of it all. One of the best bits of advice was given to me by my accountant in my very early 20s. And Alan Bell, I'm sure he's still, I'm sorry, I'm only a few years ago, he's a local guy, he's a great guy. And he said to me, David, you will meet so many people in your life, in your business life. TV hadn't come along, their business life. What you need to do is look at those people and analyze their character and their personality. See things that you like in them and see things that you dislike. And those things that you like, steal them and add them to your character and your personality, which will help you develop your character and your personality as you go through life. And I do.
I do love that. That's lovely feedback. But again, going back to that authenticity, are you then borrowing things from lots of different people and not being true to yourself?
But it's me, isn't it?
But
If I've met someone, I like the way that they react to something, that their enthusiasm over something. I think I can do that. It's not me doing anything that's unnatural, because if it feels natural, then it works for my natural character and personality. So no, Pablo Picasso, famous artist, made a fortune in his lifetime, multi-millions, which is very rare for artists.
Yeah, in their lifetimes.
In their lifetimes, yeah. He said, good artists borrow from other artists. Great artists steal from other artists.
Interesting.
You must meet people and take from them, in the nicest possible way, their best attributes.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And I think subconsciously, maybe you do it anyway without realising it. But it takes me back to my school days. And I did theatre studies at school. And we always had to explain the inspiration behind how we got to that idea.
Right.
And I didn't like that because, why can't we have an original idea? And, it probably wouldn't ever be original because of everything you've absorbed anyway.
Yeah.
But sometimes, true ideas and true creativity, you can't trace it back. But
No, true. Yeah. But there's not very much new in life. In fashion, in politics. I write books, as I mentioned, on history.
Yeah.
Now, everything that we've been going through these last 10 years, this turmoil, this way that we're all so divided now, not just down the middle, one side, left or right. It's proportioned up to a terrible time. but it's happened before.
Yes.
Not very much is new. In fashion, in politics, in love, in war, not very much is new. It's all happened before in one way or another.
Yeah. Well, then maybe if we talk about AI, because everyone's talking about how that's new, it's going to change things dramatically, and I've got my own different opinions, but how do you answer that question on AI then?
I find it sort of worrying, this AI thing. I think technology will be the destruction of humanity. Whether it's next year or in 100 years or 1,000 years, it will be the thing, I think, that destroys us. And I don't buy into this AI at all. And I think that it opens the floodgates for people like you and for people like me to develop other people's characters so that they can show their worth for the world. I mean, look, we know that we can write a company script for you, me, or anyone else, type it out, put it into a system, and some AI machine will deliver it. So unauthentic. And you've got to give people credit for some intelligence. If you're a punter, a customer, looking at a website and you see an AI delivering that company message, for me, I'm off. I'm not listening to some just typed out garbage. I want a real person. So I think it opens the door for real people now to go, you know what? I'm going to put myself forward. I'm going to talk about my company because I'm the one with passion, not that computer program. So I think it will change a lot, and it's slightly worrying, but I think every change opens a new door of opportunity. And I think there's a great skill in seeing changes that you feel are negative, and I think it's negative, but it will open doors to positive changes.
Definitely, there will be positives that come about, and already it's happening. I just think that, you know, you talked about that regurgitation of information, and it's happening kind of manually, so to speak. It's going to happen more and more kind of on speed with AI. It already is happening, and I do see that. Yeah, no one wants to hear advice from a computer, but they talk about how it's going to get so intelligent that you won't know it is. But then because people won't know, I think people will go back almost full circle to, right, well, I want to see that person in person speaking to me, or back to those traditional sources of credibility like TV, you know, like the BBC, those channels, because I don't know on YouTube if this is a real person anymore. So it's very interesting.
It's very interesting how it develops going forward. I don't know, but I do think it gives people an opportunity to say, you know, this is me, we are real, this is my team, this is my factory. We're not AI, we're real people. Do you want to deal with real people, or do you want to deal with a computer program?
Well, it's artificial, isn't it? The clue's in the name, the AI, artificial intelligence. Who wants to deal with artificial things or artificial people, artificial food, artificial anything in life, really?
Absolutely. And we are animals, instinct animals. We like listening to one another, we like hearing stories, we like joking, we like socializing, we like all of those things, and all we're doing is just introducing totally unnatural, more and more unnatural elements to our lives, and I think it will make people more unhappy, and I think people are more unhappy now than they've ever been. And I think this is not going to bring happiness. It might bring money. Money doesn't buy happiness. That's an absolute certainty. It might bring more time. What are they going to do with the time? Watch more AI. You know, are they going to go and socialize with people? No, they're going to be looking at some beautiful creature in a computer environment. It's a terrible thought.
Yeah, and you know, we talked. I do think people are more unhappy. I mean, there's evidence, I think, of it as well. Why do you think that is?
I just think that, well, certainly social media. I mean, I think social media, we're all victims of it. I have to use social media. You have to use social media. It's part of your big team.
Absolutely.
You have to do it, and you do it very well. You have to do it. But I think social media is such a scourge on society. I really do. I really do.
In what way?
I think the amount of time that people put into it. I try and post and go. Make a post, tell the world I'm still here. You know, I'm still doing my work. Come and buy a ticket to my show. Come and buy a piece of my art or something. It's what it's all about. And go. I can scroll for hours like anybody. And I do it. And I really reproach myself for doing it, because it is a complete and utter waste of my time. And it's the time that you have in life that is more valuable than anything. Good, healthy life. Why do you want to give away hours of your good, healthy life, which is only a certain amount of time?
I agree.
No amount of money can buy back 3 hours scrolling through social media. No amount of money. And so I try and train myself not to spend so much time there.
Yeah, I think so long as you're the one in control of it and you're not caught up and it's controlling you, you're a victim of the algorithm, I think that's okay. And it does have still a really important business function.
It's vital. It is absolutely vital. And I do get something from it. I like the interaction with real people.
Yeah.
I like people making comments and me interacting. I do on YouTube and on my Facebook thing. I do. And I was walking the dog the other day in Barnet Castle, and I was down in Kent 10 days ago, and I made a video on a classic VW Beetle. I talked about the Beetle, and I was handling the sale for the client, and a guy came over to me and said, "Is the Beetle still for sale?" I went, "Oh no, it's sold." "Oh, I love that car." And he remembered the Beetle because it originated in Barnet Castle. That was a real human interaction with a really lovely man who was very interested and loved that car, and we shared 10 minutes of each other's life, and it was very nice, and it was memorable, and that occurred because of social media. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, I love that. It kind of, for me, it helps kind of build that bridge between when you see that person next in real life.
That's right.
You know, you see little snippets of their life, so you've got things to, you still feel in touch with them.
You do, you do. So that is a good thing. And lots of people say that. They might see me in a supermarket and they've seen a YouTube channel. They go, "I love that." I did a film in Southampton about Lord Nelson's, Horatio Nelson's dinner service from 1798. It's about 10,000 quid per plate.
Wow.
And someone came up to me and said, "I love that. I've never seen them in my life. I love that dinner service. That's great." So that was a real positive. Social media creating real human interaction. That's good.
Yes.
It's when you lose that human interaction and we're all in our bedrooms communicating around the world with things that don't exist. That is my idea of hell.
It's a bit concerning
Yeah.
when it gets that far. And
Yeah.
how do you feel pressure as someone who's on TV to have to, do you get told in your contract you have to keep a social media profile? How does that work?
No, I don't get told that, but they do encourage it.
Right, okay.
And of course, I have to be careful what I say because we do live in this cancel culture. I could be cancelled in a nanosecond if I didn't control what I really think about certain things. And so I just try and keep away from it. So no, and we're told that when you do get a bit of abuse, I get it occasionally, not much, don't engage with them. So we do have occasional training days, not media training days, but how to interact with the public. I don't think we need it really, but we have to go through it. And social media is a viper pit if you want it to be.
Okay, that's interesting. If you want it to be.
And some people do, don't
Yes,
they? Some
because-
people love it.
Yeah, you get more likes, you get more social profile.
They get attention. Well, you asked me, did I like the attention? Yes, I do, but I wouldn't want that attention. Yeah.
Yeah, something a little bit sadistic there as well, if
There
you're
is.
encouraging it from that
There
way.
is, yeah.
But hey, some people are so desperate
Yeah.
for those likes, for those little
know.
red hearts to pop up.
But to also have an argument.
Yeah.
They'll say something to me, and they do sometimes, something really horrible, and they are willing me to engage with them and have a fight online. They love that because they get some, and so it's far better for me not to engage with them. That's more hurtful to them than me telling them what I really think about them.
Yeah.
So no, yes.
Oh, it's a scary world though.
Yeah, I know.
When
I
you
know.
have that element of profile,
Yeah.
how you deal with that. But that's great advice. On the nicer side, do you have any super fans?
I do. I think you will as well. You will always know who.
Don't think I have any.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. With your business and stuff, you'll have certain people that like all the time. Yeah, I've got a number all over the world who are regular commenters, and that's good. And I will always engage with them because they are your lifeblood of social media.
Yes.
You've got to.
And TV.
And TV,
Yeah.
absolutely. If they're taking the time to watch a video of yours and then make a comment, not just like, love this, or, a comment like, I saw something similar to this in Cincinnati and so and they're giving you a bit of a story, you must interact with that because
Absolutely,
if they've gone to the trouble of telling you their story, then I will always interact with that.
Yeah, that's
I love it.
important.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and
Really nice.
how different is it? You talked about digital comments. How different is being a kind of TV celebrity in today's digital world compared to before social media?
Well, it's, the reach is so much bigger, isn't it? So, when I first started, there was no social media. And so people would see you in the supermarket. And you could be in London or you could be in Edinburgh, it wouldn't matter because TV had the reach right across Britain, didn't it? Social media is different. I have followers in South America, in Russia, obviously Australia, South Africa, all the old colonial countries where the programs are shown. But they're also shown in about 60 countries around the world and dubbed into different languages.
Oh, wow.
I know. I've never seen myself in Malaysian. I'm probably better. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And then do you get any control over who's your voiceover there? Or?
No, not at all. No, for goodness sake. But I was at Newark. I was filming for the IACF fair organisers, biggest fair organisers in Europe. So I work with them. They pay me, employ me to go make films for my YouTube channel for them. And there was a guy from Taiwan came over and he said, I was big in Taiwan. Big in Taiwan.
Amazing.
How marvellous is that?
That's so lovely.
Isn't that great?
Must be lovely to hear.
He was a lovely guy and we did some selfies and stuff. That kind of feeds your soul, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
does.
And some people say, oh, you shouldn't like that. It's very egotistical, but it's human nature. I would love
yeah,
that.
Yeah, no. Actually, do you know, in that regard, I don't see it as an ego thing. I don't think, oh, I'm big into Taiwan. I don't. I really don't. I see it as a one-on-one human interaction, a kindness.
Yes.
And I think there's very little kindness now. I like to compliment people that I don't know, men and women.
Me too.
I do. I love it, and I actually make a point of it.
Yeah.
Not unnecessarily. If a woman is wearing a nice pair of boots or something, as I'm walking, I go, lovely boots. I don't care. I will comment because that immediate interaction is just lovely. I was wearing a bright pair of yellow trousers the other day, and I went to Mainskill Farm Shop on the A66. Yeah. And I was walking out and two ladies walked in and a lady said, I love your trousers. I went, oh, thanks so much. It was a lovely little moment. And I think that's so nice. And I think we live in a society now where we're petrified to be nice. You're actually praised more for being horrible on social media. But if you make a nice comment to someone, a man or a woman, open a door, say you look lovely, I love your hair, whatever, you're more likely to be criticized for that than for saying something horrible online.
Totally, I get it. And I like to always, if I see something that's nice, I like to tell people.
Exactly.
Sometimes, like you say, it's a shock. It's like, what's your agenda?
I know.
It's just like, no
occasionally,
agenda.
well, you have to choose where you do this. So I do it a lot, only if I see something interesting. Someone's got a great car, worth a fortune. I will make a point, if I like the car, which I am a big car guy, I will go over to them and say, I love your car. Because most people will ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yes.
I'll make a point of going over to that car. But you've got to choose your environment. Not very long ago, I was in London. I stayed at a friend of mine's house, a director, and we were going into town, into Soho, to do some voiceover stuff. And we were on one of the very early trains in, overground train. Yeah. And I was in a packed tube thing, stood up, and there was a guy in front of me wearing a Belstaff jacket. You know, Belstaff jacket? Tight belt here, worn. It was just a great jacket. And I was looking at him in the jacket, and I couldn't help myself. I said, I love your jacket. And he looked at me as if I was a mad axeman. Oh. We were this close, and the moment I got his reaction was, what the hell are you doing talking to me on a packed London train? I regretted it. And then we had to spend the next 10 minutes like this. Because, of course, normally, in normal life, if you're not in central London, you can say something like that and people don't think you're crazy.
I think
he thought I was a bit threatening or chatting him up or something.
They just don't talk like that in London.
No.
I made the mistake of one business meeting in the early days of trying to say, oh, what did you do at the weekend? They looked at me as though I was mental or just really intrusive, nosy woman. Like, let's talk about business.
Exactly. Or like then you're going to ask them out on a date or something.
That's
like,
one thing.
Hang on, I'm married. It's like weird.
Or I'm just not interested in you.
Yeah.
I once said in a business meeting to someone, oh, I like your beard.
Yeah.
And someone said, oh, steady on, Charlotte. And I was like, oh.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, that's crazy.
I know. And they were joking, but obviously
still.
by saying that, it meant that I wanted to engage in relations with him.
And didn't that make you feel awkward as well?
Yeah, it did make me feel awkward, and it made me think, well, next time I won't say something nice if I think it's nice.
You've got to fight that.
Yeah.
And I really do, because, I am afraid of, if I said to a woman, I love your outfit, of her accusing me of something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I won't let it stop me.
That's good.
Just won't let. And one day, if someone does say something like, what do you mean by that? Well, you just look nice, and we have an issue, then I might stop. But it's just nice to be nice.
Yeah, and surely everyone likes being on the receiving end of it as well.
I think they do. And do you know what? I don't even mind admitting it's a selfish thing.
Right.
It's selfish, because it makes me feel happy by giving somebody a compliment.
Yeah.
As much as
Yeah,
they
that's
hopefully
true.
feel. So it's a selfish thing. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm selfish. That's it.
But it's a nice sort of selfish.
I think so.
I think so
Yeah.
as well. Cool. Have you ever been stalked?
Yes, I have.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
In a
yeah.
bad way? Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
there's no good way.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
How bad did it get?
Quite bad, where the police had to be called and we had to have protection. So I had a guy who was sending me letters and rang home and spoke to my wife. And I don't have a landline now. I had a landline, they got my number and threatened my wife, basically said that your husband, if he arrives at a certain antiques fair, Newark Antiques Fair, he implied that things could happen that would be out of his control. I had a letter sent to my home address from this person, anonymous of course, threatening that if I did arrive there, again, things could happen. The police would never get there in time. Don't turn up at this antiques fair. I was booked to film there. So we had this going on for about 4 weeks or more. Obviously, I had to tell the BBC and they said, well, we can swap you and you don't have to go to Newark, or go to Newark and we'll give you protection. So I said, I'll go to Newark, and they gave us protection. So me and this other antiques expert, we had a close protection officer with us. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
He was a little guy, this guy, and I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting like this big bouncer to be wandering around. And I was saying to my colleague, well, if something kicks off, what the hell is he going to do? But he was some special forces guy. He was very interesting, and I had a great conversation with him. And we were wandering around, nothing happened until my female director came over to me in tears. And she said, a man has just come up to me and said, I told Harper not to arrive here. Because, of course, we had a big meeting beforehand. So we're all primed that if anything terrible went on, even they were told to continue filming. If something horrible happened, they had to continue filming to capture whatever happened.
Oh, okay.
So we both had protection officers. They were looking around and we were all very vigilant. This guy appeared and said to my female director, I told Harper not to appear here. She said, I've just been approached by a man. I said to my close protection officer, did you see the man approach her? He said, I did. He was like a hawk watching everything. Did you see where he went? He said, I did. I said, can we go and find him? He said, you can. So we went in, I'm getting
yeah, I'm not surprised.
goose pimples here. Talk about adrenaline. So we walked into this huge shed, him following me just behind him. And he said, there he is. And he pointed to this guy with a big beard and a beanie hat. And I said, can I approach him? He said, you can. So I went up with my close protection officer and I got hold of him and I said, you've been threatening my wife. And he got the shock of his life. The blood drained out of his face. He said, it wasn't me. So he sort of admitted it wasn't me. I sent some letters on behalf of a friend of mine who lives in Australia. Just all madness. Yeah. And so we effectively
diffused.
What do you call it when you a public arrest?
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
Citizen's arrest.
Citizen's arrest. We got him. And me and the close protection officer took him outside, called the police, and he was taken away. It was absolutely marvelous. A great experience. And the worst bit of stalking I've ever had. I've had others, but never like a physical contact like that.
Yeah, and is that quite common?
No, it's very uncommon. The BBC were very surprised. It's never happened to anybody else in the world, apart from me. I genuinely don't know what it was about me that offended him so badly that he hated me with such a passion. He couldn't bear the fact that I would be at the fair. He's a dealer, an antiques dealer.
Really?
He's an antiques dealer.
That's really strange. Very strange. I don't stereotype, but they don't strike me as that type.
Well, do you know, but you must find it. There is such a thing as professional jealousy.
Right.
You can't avoid it.
Yeah.
Anybody who says it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst world is the world of celebrity. Everybody's jealous of everyone else.
Yeah.
They're all stabbing each other in the back, for goodness sake, because they're all looking for the work, to be elevated or whatever. But so, yeah, that was, you asked the question. That was quite a long answer, but there you go.
But no,
yeah, an experience, yeah.
Yeah, scary, but great story.
Good story. Good story. I know. And the close protection officers were brilliant, I must say. They were really interesting guys.
Yeah.
And he was so observant. It was
I'd be
remarkable.
a terrible one of those.
I would.
Not very observant at all.
I know, exactly.
Oh, brilliant. And the term celebrity, how comfortable are you with that?
Not particularly comfortable.
Okay.
Not really. Because to me, a celebrity is Johnny Depp, somebody like that. I think there's so many celebrities now, and it takes nothing to be a celebrity. Nothing. Where years ago, when I used to think of celebrities, they were something. Madonna is a celebrity. Tom Hanks is a celebrity. And they're celebrities. Where today you can do something on TikTok and be a celebrity. I don't get that. There should be another word for it.
Do you feel that demeans your work?
No, I don't. I don't think of it as much. I have to use the term because I make Celebrity Antiques Road Trip. Well, in actual fact, I'm taking celebrities out with me, and I've appeared on Celebrity Eggheads and Celebrity MasterChef. You would never introduce yourself as a celebrity.
Yeah.
It's a very overused term, and it's a broad brush approach. So yeah, social media one night hits are suddenly celebrities.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't love the word at all.
No, it's interesting because I know from chats with other business owners, they don't like being called an entrepreneur. But then
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, but then they say that they're not really one because they're just running a business. They're just doing something that's not that creative. But then, if you look at the definition of entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, if you are one, you struggle to see yourself as one almost.
Well, I would rather be called an entrepreneur than a celebrity because I think that's a more apt description of me. So I jump around from one thing to another, different projects, writing, painting, TV, YouTube, theatre shows. That's sort of more entrepreneurial than celebrity.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's
maybe it's for other people to define you as a celebrity.
It's much better for let other people decide who you are and what you are, not you. It's like going into a room and saying, "Yeah, I'm a really good-looking person," or "I'm a real funny guy," or something. That's very irritating.
If you have to tell someone you are, you're not.
You're not. You're not. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. We've covered some of my questions on nerves. Do you have any pre-show rituals?
Yeah, I do, depending on what I'm doing. Certainly for theatre shows, I eat the right food.
Right.
So I make sure that I eat healthily, not stodgily.
Yeah.
Even though, total contradiction, I may eat chocolate before I go on because I just feel like I need a bit of sugar in my brain.
Yeah.
A banana. I must, before I film or go on a theatre show, I must eat a banana, at least one a day.
Okay.
If I don't eat a banana, I have this thing in my head. If there are no bananas and I haven't had one, I'm not going to be able to function.
I love that. So do you throw like a diva fit if there's no bananas in my dressing room?
Completely. I've got to have a van full of bananas.
Like Mariah Carey, 100 bananas stacked in
exactly.
That's interesting though, because it kind of pictures back to kind of a sports person before
Yes.
they're about to perform.
Yeah.
And I often see business meetings as a performance like sport.
It is.
And making sure you've got the right nutrition in you, maybe a little bit of caffeine,
Completely.
a little bit of sugar, so you've got lots of energy.
Yeah.
But sustainable energy as well. You don't want your hit and then it to dip.
No.
And then also, having a little rest. Sports people, they'll train really hard, then they'll start tapering.
Yeah.
So it's similar. If there's a big meeting coming up, it's kind of almost in the day rather than like a series of months as an athlete. But you will kind of do all your research, lots of information, reminding yourself of your questions, for example, if we're doing this. And then you have a little bit of a break, give your head a little bit of space.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely
similar to that.
right. And what about playing it through in your mind as a sports person? Did you do that before? Yes.
Yeah, it's a massive thing. Like when I was quite young and, we got taken on these training camps and everything like that. And we were told to visualise, we'd close our eyes. I'd be the one giggling with my friends saying, this is silly. And now I regret that because now I know the power of it.
Yes.
But, as a young person, you just, especially in the 90s, there was so little evidence of it back then. Yeah. But now, it's vital, and I do that. I do that sometimes when I have the time. I take it you do it quite a lot before.
I do. I really do, because they say everything happens twice. Once in the mind, once in reality. And it might be 24 hours between the mind and reality, or a nanosecond.
Yeah.
But it does happen twice. And if you allowed, for example, if I was going to give a big presentation a book due or something. I was giving a talk and then selling my books. And I played a scenario in my head where I was absolutely rubbish. Everything went wrong. I forgot all my historical facts. It would affect my performance. So I do play it through. Not always, but even if I'm driving to a gig, I'll play it through.
Yeah.
Everything is going great.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. I'm on stage and it begins to start playing through.
It's crazy,
it does work.
isn't it? Yeah.
Again, it's your mind. Your mind is your best friend and your worst enemy. You must control your mind.
Yeah, that's so powerful, such wise words. I've heard also that emotions, sometimes like anger, it only actually physically lasts 10 to 15 seconds. It's just the fact that you replay it again and again
You remember
for
it.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
Why would we do that to ourselves as humans?
I
But we
know.
do.
We need to go back to the factory, whoever made us, right? And go, look, there's several design faults here. Can we just do a bit of tweaking?
Factory reset every so often.
I know,
But
I
yeah,
know.
it's a bit.
But we're responsible for that, for factory resetting. And I think
Okay.
if we know that,
Yes.
we can help ourselves. You have to help yourself before anyone else can help you or you can help anyone. You must make yourself happy. You must get yourself in a good place and you must train your mind like a pet. Think of it like a pet. Train your mind.
Definitely, I've heard that disassociation with it, almost
Yeah.
giving it an alter ego or a name.
Completely.
It helps you put it in its box sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And totally believe that, it starts with you.
It does.
And sometimes they're looking for other answers.
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe a very stoic thing.
Absolutely. The Stoics, honestly, I got it right. 2,500 years ago. It's wonderful studying old philosophies because you're actually talking to people, talking to minds that have been dead for 2,500 years.
Yeah.
And the stuff they can give you, the advice for living life today, is absolutely just invaluable.
And so relevant still after all. And then it
bizarre.
comes bames back to that point that you made,
Yeah.
that everything comes around in circles.
Yeah.
Their advice is still so relevant in this day of technology. They couldn't even dream the things that we're doing
No.
with technology. Maybe they
No.
could because they're so wise, but
Yeah.
that base foundation knowledge, wisdom is
know.
still critical.
It's almost more applicable today
Yes.
than it was in the Roman period. It's fantastic. And they were talking to themselves all of the time. They were training their minds. They knew the power of the mind. And they'd ask themselves questions all of the time to keep themselves on track, keep their minds healthy. And I'm not saying it's easy because it's very, very difficult to keep your mind healthy, especially when there's so many things in life going on, responsibilities and careers. And, my work could be taken away from me tomorrow. So there's always that fear going on that if I don't perform tomorrow, maybe it's over. Or say the wrong thing, it's over. There's always those worries, and anybody can relate to
But
that.
more so in your industry.
More so in
there
mine,
was
yeah.
something a while ago where the BBC were culling people who were just getting too old.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
ever
yeah.
worry about that? Or?
No, not so much because I trade on expertise, so knowledge, which is
Yeah.
good. If I was just a standalone presenter, then yeah, that would be a worry because it's all about youth. BBC, and I'm not saying anything that nobody knows, they're all searching for the youth market, which I think is a bit bonkers because if you're watching an antique show on BBC and ramming youth into it and trying to sell it to the youth are not interested. As somebody said to me a long time ago, the youth will find these history and antiques programs. They'll find them when they're a bit older. Don't force them to watch them. Some do. Don't force them to watch. Let them find them. Don't gear the program to attract the youth, which doesn't work. So yeah, it is very youth-led. And of course, lots of box ticking, all of that diversity thing comes into it. You have to deal with all of that. And I don't tick any boxes at all. So the only thing I've got is I suppose experience and, well, they keep ringing, Charlotte. They keep ringing. One day they won't.
That's a good thing. And sorry, I insinuated there that you were very old.
No, thanks for that.
Very
Yeah.
rude of me. But I suppose in the context of things, like you said, they want fresh
They want
young
youth.
blood.
Listen, if they
Yeah.
could replace me with a 20-year-old, 25-year-old, they would. And they would, of course they would.
Really?
But it takes, years of life experience and doing something in the world of antiques or whatever, in any industry, to get the knowledge. And they
Yes.
can manufacture the knowledge, and in many areas they do, sadly, in television, they do manufacture it in the edit. They do.
Yeah.
They just do. And that would be a worry for the future. But I know that one day I won't get the call, and I'm completely prepared for it. And I actually, as much as I adore it, I will see it as another door opening. I'll
Okay,
do
that's
something else.
sensible.
I'll do something else. Otherwise, I've seen it happen with my own eyes. People be destroyed, eaten from the inside out in the world of television, where they just they've stopped getting work and they've imploded on themselves. So that's a real worry. And it won't happen to me because when they don't ring, I'll just do something else.
But that's great as well. You're developing your own TV channels, your own YouTube channels.
Very much so.
And that's important today as well, almost carving out your own audience. And
I really enjoy it. I really do. I mean, I can talk about things worth 50 quid or, millions. I was dealing with an antiques deal on the South Coast, top end, really. And again, here's an example, right? It's one of the best top end antique dealers in the world. Has things for tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. So I'm talking to him on my YouTube channel about a cabinet worth £500,000. Wow. He's got it. He owns it. He also owns several hundreds of other pieces, not dissimilar. The guy is so rich, it's unbelievable. But he's a great guy, full of knowledge, full of enthusiasm. And guess what? He's just a normal person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A really nice, interesting man.
Yeah.
You want to go to the pub with him. And he's selling stuff for £500,000. It's just great. I'll never talk about that on the BBC because we only get, if you go shopping, you get 300 quid. So diversifying myself, as much as I love mainstream TV, I love it.
Yeah.
I do enjoy the ad hoc YouTube stuff.
You can't let it define you, I guess, then.
No, well, you can't. You can't. Otherwise, it'll come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Brilliant. I'll end with a final question. What's on your bucket list? What haven't you done that you really want to do?
Oh, gosh. I think develop the YouTube side of things. I'd like to get more into travel. Everybody says that in the world of TV. I'd love to do a travel show. I'd like to do my own sort of travel. I'm doing cruises now, which is how we got chatting recently, actually, because I've done a couple of cruises. But most of the time I turn them down because you get the cruise but you don't get paid. And I've got to make a living. I can't take 2 weeks out of my diary and then miss some good paying jobs. You get a free cruise, but no pay. The only ones I've done is where I get a cruise and pay. But I've now decided to do more cruises where I don't get paid, but I get to visit great places. So I want to broaden my travel experience. I'm pretty well travelled. I want to do more.
Oh, I think that's lovely. And it's great that you can partner that with work.
Yes, exactly. And make some YouTube videos en route. So that'll be fun.
Oh, yes.
Fun, and experiences. And if you can do all of those things and make money, then you've nailed it.
Oh, and I know I said that was the last question, but how can people do that? There'll be lots of people. I hope there's lots of people. There might be a few people listening to this that are just thinking, wow, you've got it all. You're making money out of something you find fun. What's your advice?
Right. Okay. It's very, very simple. You've got to be incredibly brave. If you're doing something now that you really hate, if you live for the weekend and you hate your Monday to Friday, you've got to change it. I've always lived for the weekend to be over so I can get back to work. So I've only ever done what I like to do. And it's a very brave person to do that because it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make lots of money. Mm-hmm. But if you find something that you really love to do and you're passionate about it, for goodness sake, as the Stoics remind us all of the time, oh, man is mortal. Do what you love now. Don't regret it when you're old. So just find a way to do what you love to do and to try and make some money out of it. There are ways and means. Just think about it. Your time is much more important than some dreadful job that brings you nothing but despair.
Oh, I love that. And it's nothing like thinking about your own death to add a bit of perspective.
I love thinking about death. It makes me live every day.
You're so
fully.
right. People are afraid to think about it. They think the opposite, or it's dull, it's going to give me depression. But
It doesn't. It doesn't. I have to be very careful with my mental state, just like everybody else. But I mean, not like I celebrate the idea of death. I don't. But it is a certainty. And you've just got to remember that how many things do you want to do now between today and that point where you're no longer in existence? And the Stoics would say, what are you missing out on because of fear? What do you fear? Are you fearful of leaving that job that pays your mortgage, but you hate it? But what are you missing out on? If you get over that fear, maybe you're missing out on a life full of fun and enjoyment and making a living. And that's more important than money, by the way.
Totally.
I would live in a tin shack with no money, just enough to buy basic food as long as I was happy doing the right work and with the right person than live in a palace doing the wrong job and with the wrong person.
Oh, amazing. And I just love that point, you know, like what would you be doing with your life if you hadn't let fear get in the way? It's just so important.
It's a good question to ask.
Yeah.
And people should ask it regularly.
I love it. So, regular question time.
Go on.
We've got 10 questions.
Oh, wow.
Where you answer on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best,
Right.
how you would rate yourself at a variety of personal things.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
Do I need a drink for this?
Yes, maybe some alcohol.
Thanks for the vodka.
Yeah, in a discreet cup.
How would I rate myself? Go on, let's try this. Go on then.
How good looking are you?
Oh, my God. 5.
Okay. How funny are you?
7.
You're more funny than that. Cooking skills.
0.
Yes, Celebrity Master.
Celebrity MasterChef, don't mention me to Celebrity MasterChef. They hate me with a passion.
What was the certificate you got?
I got the certificate from the producers of Celebrity MasterChef for being the worst contestant in the history of MasterChef and Celebrity MasterChef across all territories around the world.
I love that. I think I could give you a pretty good run for your money, though. How good at singing are you?
Oh, terrible. Yeah. My daughter is brilliant. She's a singer-songwriter. Awesome. She doesn't get it from me. I'm a 1.
Okay. Alcohol, we touched on it. How good are you at drinking alcohol? What's your tolerance?
Oh, very low, because I don't drink that often.
Yeah.
I do like to drink. I find alcohol a great tool. So if I'm out a couple of pints and it really loosens me up and it makes me feel great, any more than 2 pints, I'm history. So I don't know what that scores me, a 2?
Yeah, I'd say 2.
Bad, pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parenting skills, you've mentioned your daughter.
Yeah, parenting is a very difficult thing.
It is.
You're an amateur every day of your life that you're a parent because your child has only been that age that she is today.
Oh, good
One
point.
time.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking
So
at it.
I've made lots of mistakes. I've always tried my best, but the best years of my life were spent with my daughter when she was preschool, and I had my antique shop before television, and I only work a few days a week, and the rest of the time we'd go out for picnics and go off hunting for antiques to wholesalers and stuff. And with 3 of us, my wife and daughter and I, would just spend glorious days on the road, driving around. Best years of my life.
I love that. And I'm kind of in that moment and I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
You know.
How old are yours?
Just turned 1 and 4.
They're just perfect. And people will say to you all the time, make the most of it, make the most of it. But it's very difficult to make the most of it because you're running a business, you're all busy. But you will make the most of it.
Yeah.
And those magic moments when they discover something new for the first time and you witness it, it's just...
Oh, it's a
Isn't it
level.
fantastic?
Yeah.
I try not to think about it because it makes me feel unhappy.
Oh,
because although they were the best years of my life, because they're now gone, we've moved on to different chapters, and I don't see her very often because she lives in central London, and it makes me feel a bit melancholic. It's like looking at old photos. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So happy memories, but I don't dwell on them because it could make me feel a bit sad.
Yeah.
Because they were so good. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. It's great that you've got that awareness of it as well.
Yeah.
How good a friend are you?
Oh, I think I'm quite a good friend. I would say I don't have very many friends. I spent my childhood moving around an awful lot. And it's only in recent years that I've sort of discovered that we are all products of our childhood. And I'm very much a product of my childhood. So I lived in this country, I lived in Africa, and I went to different schools, maybe 10 schools in total. So I was so used to making friends and then having to break friends. So I haven't amassed lots of friends. So I only have a few friends. But I would say that I'm quite a good friend. I would say I'm an 8.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you gave a parenting score actually.
Oh, did I get? Oh, I would say, yeah, I'd say a 7. Yeah.
Okay. How intelligent? I can't even say the word, but that's clearly how intelligent I am.
Yeah.
How intelligent are you, David?
Well, I think intelligence is measured in very many ways.
I agree.
I think if I was to be measured on an academic level, not particularly intelligent. I don't think I've never been good at studying hard for stuff or taking exams. I don't mind admitting I was expelled from school at the age of 16.
Wow.
So, that formal education came to an end very quickly. I've certainly learned an awful lot more since leaving school than I ever learnt at school. In fact, I learnt nothing at school compared to what I know now. I think on an emotional level, I'm more intelligent than I am academically. And I think on an interest, passion level, if you lead that, the topics that I love, I know them quite in depth. And so if I was to be measured there, relatively high. So on an average, let's say a 6. A long answer.
A really good answer. I really agree with everything you said. Kindness.
I like to try and be kind. I'm not as kind as I feel I could be or should be. Trying to be kinder. I'm not as kind to myself as I should be. Trying to be kinder in that way as well, because I think once you master that and you're kind to yourself and you accept yourself and you like yourself, and then you can be kinder to others. So ongoing, a 7.
That's a really good point about being kind to yourself.
I think you have to.
Yeah, I certainly work on that myself.
Yeah, you must.
Last question is about sex.
Sex?
Yeah.
Well, it's a topic that is like death, isn't it?
I know, people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
It's a difficult question for me to ask, but that's why I'm asking it.
I saw your face.
Yeah.
You struggled with it.
I struggle with it.
You did. And
but why should I?
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think you should. What is the question? Yeah. What's the question? You just said sex. Do you just go around saying that? Or
Oh, yes, that's what I do. Yes, it's quite a powerful strategy. It's got me far in life. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at sex?
How good am I at sex? Gosh. Well, I think sex is vitally important.
Yes.
I really do. Mm-hmm. I think that it's probably one of the most important things in life to get right. I think it's one of those things that you can improve on, experiment with, make better, make more interesting and exciting. So I think, because I think it's very important, I think I'm gonna give myself an 8.
Okay, I love
that
answer.
Yeah.
Because most people, they're just like, oh, a 5, uncomfortable joke,
no,
sort of thing.
No.
But I'm glad that
it's really important. There are certain things in life, if you don't get right, really affect your work life. And it's a bit like diet. If you don't get your diet right and you feel all messed up and not quite right, then you don't work well. And as a Stoic said, what do? Go and do your job. So make sure that you're in a very good place to go and do your job. And as much as we're British and we don't talk about it, sex is vital.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just recreation.
Completely.
Yeah.
And it's mindfulness. It's relaxation. It's getting out of the humdrum. It's living in the moment. All of these things that we know are good for us actually are given to us on a plate.
Yeah, it's free.
It's the freest, most wonderful gift that has been given to us.
Yeah.
So yes, it's vitally important.
I love it. We could talk loads more on that, but I'm conscious of time. Maybe
we should probably stop.
Yes, we should probably stop. But thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Charlotte.
Hi, it's Ryan from Harvey and Hugo, and I am the videographer here. So, are you looking for a new way to stand out in today's crowded digital landscape? Well, look no further than podcasting. Here at Harvey and Hugo, we specialise in creating and producing high quality podcasts that engage and inspire audiences. And with our comprehensive production services, we'll take care of all the technical details, from the recording and the editing to the distribution and the promotion. With millions of listeners tuning in every day, it's the perfect time to start connecting with them on a deeper level. Let Harvey and Hugo help you unlock the power of podcasting and take your message to the next level.